We've been as busy as ever since the pandemic, arrived in Colorado. I don't think we've lost a step in terms of the work that we do, either in audit services or the wage enforcement laws. When the pandemic began, we all began working from home. What I did was consistent with what the mayor did or what the governor did. It's basically, shut down the workplace, and we began working remotely with the many tools that we have, such as the one that we're using right now. We're fortunate to have those kinds of tools available to us today, because if it was 10 years ago, I don't know what we would be doing. The safety, the health, the security of everyone in the office is most important. Since back in March, when the pandemic arrived, we've produced over a dozen audit reports. Some of those include things like reviewing Open Records Act policies and how the city is complying with those policies. We looked at the Minority Woman Business-Owned Enterprise Program, and we looked at management of city real estate. So we're continuing to do the important work that we do. Audit committees, which used to be live face-to-face, are now being held on a virtual platform like the one that we're using right now. We use a little different one because it has some security features that I like. There are times that the audit committee has to go into executive session, and I think those security provisions are important to have for those parts of our meetings. Audit committee is doing well. We received an award from the Association of Local Government Auditors for an audit that we did of the Denver preschool program. That audit was recognized as one of the best in the nation. So I'm very proud of the award, and I'm most proud of the people that perform the work that enable us to receive those kinds of awards.
We are revising our revenue loss projections to $226 million below our original forecast.
Sales tax, lodger's tax are particularly been hit hard because of the impact that the pandemic has had on our economy. We've certainly cut back on things that we can cut back on. We've submitted some budget reductions for 2020, and we will be submitting some budget reductions for 2021. My staff, myself, will be furloughed for 8 days of unpaid vacation. So I think we're part of the solution for the budgetary aspect of this problem that we're all facing. I think the audit work is important because given the pressure that's on the budgets, there is the ability for some internal controls to be relaxed a little bit. And I think it's important that the audits continue to make sure that we're not relaxing controls unnecessarily. On the wage enforcement side, Denver Labor is continuing minimum wage and prevailing wage enforcement very much the same way that we have since before the pandemic reached Colorado. We are conscientiously making sure that contractors are paid in a timely manner. We are reaching out to individuals who have not been paid the prevailing wage and making sure that we can get a check in their hand that makes them paid whole, consistent with the law in Denver. There's a lot that we don't know about COVID-19, and I think until there's a vaccine or some kind of a therapeutic cure for the disease, we're going to be working virtually. I would rather see us working in the office together. There are people that I've worked with for the last 5 years that I don't get to see anymore, except virtually. And I look forward to the day that we're all back together. We'll get through this. Well, that's it for this episode of Ask the Auditor. And if you have a question you would like to ask the auditor, you can submit it to auditor@denvergov.org, and maybe your question will be the next question answered on the next episode of Ask the Auditor.